What's up, everybody? One of the great gifts in life is finding a great TV show you've never seen before and just taking it all in at once, and that's what I've done this January with True Detective. So, let's talk about episodes 1 and 2 of Night Country, or the fourth season, since I wasn't caught up last week, and there's definitely going to be some spoilers in there too. So, you've been warned. Now let's get into it. I think the way I'm going to go about it with this series is I'm going to do a pros and cons section for each episode, and then I think I'm also going to include a predictions section if I have them. There's going to be some episodes where I'll have none, some where I'll have one, and some where I'll have multiple. So let's get the cons out of the way first here for episode 1. First off is using Billie Eilish for the opening song. Just not a vibe, and honestly, they've kind of dropped the ball back to back seasons. I didn't like season three's opening song either for the credits, but to be fair, nothing can top season two's song because that was just too good. Then, my only other complaint is I thought the opening scene for the season was pretty weak. I got hooked in later on in the episode, where in previous seasons, even the third and weakest season, it was the opening scene that roped me in and made me binge it all so fast. On the flip side, there's some pros to talk about here, and that starts with the vibe of the show. I love the little bit of horror, and I really love that it's taking place through the long night in Alaska. And I also thought the comedy in this episode was actually pretty decent, at least for me personally, because I found myself laughing my ass off at that drunk lady screeching in the drunk tank. And maybe it was just me, or maybe it was her being more annoying than funny, and me seeing the cops get annoyed what was so funny, But the point is, I was laughing my ass off. I thought that scene was just great. Then there's the classic True Detective cliffhangers, and this one had a really good one for a first episode. I really wish I'd caught up by last weekend, so I could have waited a whole week for this and sat with it instead of like an hour because I watched the first episode of this season at halftime of the football game. But the best part of the show is Jodie Foster. The teams behind this series are so goddamn good at finding their lead, or in season 1 and 2 leads to focus on, and Jodie fits right in, just stealing the show right away. Like, no matter what with this show, no matter what complaints I have about any season, I can confidently say every time the leads of each season have been phenomenal and delivered amazing performances. And for episode 1, I do actually have a prediction to talk about, and you know, I'm kind of firing a shot early on who done it. I mean, it's obviously got something to do with those tattoos, but I got a feeling it's going to be this Alina chick who's the one that the young cop's dad, who's also a cop, is like talking to, and she's coming over for Christmas. But what if she's not even real? Or the other chick who died and her case is related, Annie, uh, what if she's actually Alina? Like, it just feels like some weird shit's gonna go down here in this season, and I almost want to say, like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go so far as to say I'm confident that Annie is Alina, but I got a feeling. Let's check back in on this next week after that episode. All right, before I get into the second episode, I just wanted to put it out there that if you're enjoying this video so far, or you've been around the channel and haven't yet, I'd appreciate it greatly if you subscribe to the channel to show your support. Also, head over to my Twitter account because I'm going to be opening up my Discord server on January 31st to celebrate the channel's first birthday. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you're following me over there on Twitter, or X whatever, so you can send me a DM on the 31st, or you can do it earlier. I'm going to be sending the invites out on the 31st, and you'll gain access. With those notes out of the way, let's get into the second episode. For this one, I've got no predictions to make, so it'll only be a pros and cons here, and we'll start with the cons. The first being the story of this episode, actually. It kind of fell off a bit for me, and I'm not really that invested yet in Kali Reese's, I hope I pronounced her last name right, her character. So that side story kind of stuff with what she's doing isn't quite clicking yet for me, but I will say it did get a bit more interesting at the end of the episode. Another one that's kind of related to that is the pacing of this episode. It's over an hour long, and it feels even longer, as in a 6 episode series, not a whole lot happened. I just don't really think you can have that, in my opinion. Then I've got two weird ones that I don't really know if I consider true issues with the show, or if they're just my weird personal nitpicks I have every now and then with different projects. And but I think one, the story's a little too linear for me, which I get sounds ridiculous, but after adjusting to the Whiplash time jumps of the first three seasons, it's just a bit weird. And then two, and this is really if that first one sounded weird to you, cover your fucking ears because this is even weirder. But because it's not even the show's fault, but I'm just so confused on what people were so disturbed by in this episode. Like nothing even came close to anything this show's done in the first three seasons. People were losing their minds over it. Like calm down, people. But anyway, moving on to the pros for the episode, it's going to be pretty even in terms of pros and cons here. The thing I enjoyed most here in this second episode was just the craziness that's both happening and being set up. I think it was a great idea to throw this huge curveball season at us uh, after three straight fastballs. And they may have been four seamers and two seamers, but they were pretty similar. And this is a fresh and intriguing setting we've got here in season 4. On top of that, this episode had a phenomenal opening scene, unlike the first, which was very refreshing considering it's a landmark of this series in my opinion. And finally, and this is just a fun little thing here, but I like the reference to Tuttle from season 1. Hopefully it leads somewhere, like it did in season 3 at the end, but I'm not really sure yet how this season's story would fold into something like that, and honestly, I'm not sure I want it to. And so that'll do it for my review of the first and second episodes for True Detective, Night Country, or just season 4. I thought the first was a better episode overall, but I'm definitely still looking forward to the rest of the series because of the setting and, of course, Jodie Foster's performance so far. But let me know what you thought of these first two episodes down in the comments below and make sure you have a great day.